speech number 7. She's just burning through the book. Tonight she'll be sharing about her unforgettable experience resulting from a visit to a museum that she had this past May. And we will now enjoy her ruminations about a magical museum.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, England is a magical museum. I had the great pleasure of visiting and spending some time there a year ago this last May. I want to back up a little bit before I give you details about it. The museum is a repository for things artistic, scientific, and historical. It can be a building, it can be a room, a place of some kind. And the Ashmolean Museum is absolutely amazing. We have Elias Ashmole to thank for the commencement of that museum. He was probably a late Renaissance man. He was born in 1617, lived most of the 1600s, and finally bowed out in 1697. So a ripe old age. He saw much, he did much. As I said, he was probably a late Renaissance man, and he probably was brilliant. His first loves were collecting and academic pursuits. He wasn't a dilettante, though. He was very serious about what he did. He had the, I guess, good sense, I don't know what I would call it, good sense to marry a very wealthy widow, much older than himself, and he inherited her first husband's, much deceased, or long deceased, his considerable fortune. And he had the good sense to use it very wisely. Someone said of him, he enjoyed her inheritance, but not her company. Sounds like a bit of a jerk, doesn't it? But we do have to thank him for what he created. He was a collector, and he collected things of value, great, great things of value. He collected old coins, he collected zoological specimens, archaeological specimens, and things from history like that. And he took very, very good care of them. He didn't just toss them in a box somewhere if he could help it. But everything was of great value. And this went on for many years. Finally, he ran out of space. And he approached Oxford University and said, if you will build a building for my collection, I will give it to you. And they said, okay, let us do that. And he turned over his entire collection to Oxford University. It thereby became a department of the university. And it thereby became the first university museum in the world, the first museum in Britain, and I'm not sure about this, but the first museum that was free. I couldn't verify that. Whether I read it, but I don't know if it's true or not. I couldn't verify. And he went on collecting, particularly from the Mediterranean and from the Eastern Mediterranean. But not just that, he got things from around the world. Don't ask me how. I really don't know. But he got them somehow. His taste was absolutely impeccable. Absolutely impeccable. This man enjoyed history. He enjoyed art. He enjoyed science. He enjoyed botany. He enjoyed astronomy. And just, can you imagine having a conversation with him? I would be very quiet. Probably afraid to say anything. The museum went along just fine until, and he passed away, as I said, in the late 1600s. He went on collecting during that time. And then in about the late 1800s, I want you to fast forward with me here, Oxford decided to build a new museum. Things were just kind of spilling over. And they took their holdings, which were mainly art. They wanted to combine their art holdings with his entire museum. And that's what happened. They gave it the name Ashmolean museum. They let him keep that name, which was very, very good. Very, very good. As time went on, the museum expanded with more holdings. It kept coming in, very, very valuable kinds of things. And he, well, of course, he's passed on. He left a wonderful legacy. Oxford kept building on that. Their second museum, his holdings, as I said, and then their art collection. And they gave it the name Ashmolean Museum, kept it in his honor. They have continued to perfect this gem of a museum. I want to fast forward now to about 2006. Over 3 years, Oxford spent through grants and trusts and donations $98 million to expand the museum even further. They took it from 3 stories to 5 stories. They put in a dining room and a cafeteria and really expanded the galleries. Just, wow, it was amazing what they did. And even more recent than that, in 2012, they started exploring through the grant or monies that came in, about $1 million, how to better combine the university and this wonderful department of theirs into a teaching museum. And it is one of the finest in the world. They're exploring now how to get programs going for doctors and so forth. It's just startling, just exciting. To give you an idea of how personal the museum is, and that's my lasting impression of it, you don't echo when you walk down the hallways or over all this marble or anything like that. It is a highly personal museum. There was a wonderful display when I was there a year ago in May of the masters, the Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Titan, Rubens, Rembrandt. These were sketches that they had put up in a room without visible guards there. There was no railing that you had to stand behind. There was no protection over these sketches, which probably ended up in drawers because they'd be maybe a face that ends up in a 10 by 13 work of art. Sketches, charcoal, black ink. And I had to resist touching them. I mean, I would have died if I would have done that. But I kept coming back to one. It just was, I cried. It was so beautiful. And to think it perhaps ended up in the drawer. But it was rescued. It is a marvelous museum, and I have a promise to make to you. If you go to England, you must go to Oxford. If you go to Oxford, you must go to the Ashmolean Museum. And here's my promise to you. If you do not, my living ghost or my post-mortem ghost will haunt you for the rest of your days.
Good.